Hello everyone, I hope you're doing really well. It's the 24th of October 2024. My name is Gary Waterman. I'm a former UK police constable. I'm a Christian and a victim of this international government fraud that links significantly all the way through to child trafficking at the core of this and being a massive motive for what we are seeing. It links to the taxation system, and it's very clear, and I say this with absolute certainty, that we have been living under an imposed criminal financial system that has been victimising millions of people, but most worryingly, the most innocent of all, our children. It must change. Now, I've been sending my evidence over the last 2 years to 650 members of parliament, and more recently over the last few months to around 40 out of 40, it's either 42 or 43 police forces in the UK. They are all completely ignoring the evidence, okay? It's not good enough. Things have got to change. We're on the verge of a complete collapse of the system and a change to fit this narrative of these criminals. We can't allow that to happen. That includes what appears to be a full digital currency control, utilising their proposed system, and we can't allow that. So the people have to step up now to protect the children. It's the only right thing to do. So we need to compel what I believe are a set of transitional changes or measures to ensure that we have a peaceful transition into the right direction to lead to truth, transparency and trust. It's absolutely essential that we do that. So I'm just going to read off, and I know a lot of you have heard me saying these things, what I believe we need to compel initially to happen. So number one, we need a transparent taxation system at the source of payments, okay, where the masses can audit the government bank accounts themselves by viewing the periodic collective tax contributions and referenced expenditures as to where that money is being spent. This should include the ability to view the nation's available excess funds that should be maintained through a fluctuating taxation request system. Now, why am I saying this? Well, it's very clear through my evidence that this government fraud allows them to defraud the masses through the taxation system. This is why most of the scandals that we are seeing, government scandals linked to this system of fraud, I've got the evidence, it's confirmed, and they will be using our tax contributions to pay for this nefarious activity in relation to the children, but also to facilitate drug trafficking around the world, the wars that we're seeing, the genocide that we're seeing against the poor children and families in various wards. It's all connected to this system of fraud. I'm absolutely certain of it with the evidence that I've got. So we need transparency. Number two, there needs to be full verification of anyone and any addresses involved in new and existing company and corporations to ensure that there is full accountability and liability to minimise the chance of any criminal activity. Now, the government have never done this, so they've allowed companies to register and people involved in those companies to use false names and false addresses. This is deliberate to allow this criminal organisation system to continue, because, of course, if false details are being used, you can't hold those individuals accountable, especially, false names, false addresses. You've got no one there in a lot of these addresses to actually hand litigation papers to, for example, in relation to any criminal or civil litigation matters. This is deliberate by our governments. That must stop. There needs to be full verification. Number three, there needs to be strict legislation and severe punishment to prevent anyone in positions of authority from making decisions for their own or affiliated reasons. The people must be assured that the decisions being made are for the benefit of the masses and the environment, as does not appear to have ever been the case. At the moment, for example, our politicians have to declare financial interest, but nothing really happens to them if they don't do that. So they could be making decisions for that financial interest or affiliated financial interest, but there's no real consequences for it. That must change. There needs to be an assurance that there will be no further move to full digital currency control, and to ensure that there is the ability to peacefully protest against any corrupt government policies by withholding, for example, tax contributions, and still having the ability to survive by making other forms of simple payments in the event of a freeze of digital funds by the people behind this. This is very, very important, because soon, if they have full digital currency control, we will lose that ability and they can take money from us anyway. The only option we're left with then is the violent option, shall we say, in relation to trying to compel a change. And they know that. Remember, what we have got here is a satanic attack from all angles. Okay, so everything we're seeing is the opposite of good. It's all deceit. It's all deception, it's lies, crime. It really is that bad. The victimization of children, and that's because at the very top of this, there is an occult system. So we need that assurance that that is not going to continue, and they're not going to enslave mankind into this, because if they were to remove the age of sexual consent without full consultation and verifiable consultation with the public, which is very hard to actually ascertain, then the people can't accept that. Most people aren't going to accept reducing the age of sexual consent or removing it altogether. And it's very clear that that's what these people want to do. You've only got to look at the affiliation between the National Council for Civil Liberties and an openly paedophile organisation. Those people involved in the National Council for Civil Liberties are still members of Parliament, okay? Now, there also needs to be, I believe, because this system of fraud links massively to real estate, to victimise individuals in relation to property and real estate. That's how I found out about this myself. So there needs to be a transparent financial system for the management of real estate to prevent leaseholders and innocent shareholders from being exploited or defrauded in relation to real estate. This should include leaseholders being able to view the collective income of service charge contributions at the source of payments and referenced expenditures, as well as the availability for a suitably signed contract with the management companies, and the ability for leaseholders to obtain comparative quotations for the services to that real estate. None of this is being done, and that is so that it allows selected few connected to this real estate to victimize and defraud and exploit others linked to that real estate. That needs to stop. Number 6. Now, I don't think there's any way around this. Nobody is going to trust any of these individuals that have been part of this. So there needs to be the staged resignation of all politicians and their advisors, legal teams, chief of police, police and crime commissioners, and heads of government organisations who have been in a position to address this criminal system since it was identified and have not already resigned. The public will never trust them again. I think that's absolutely essential that that happens. We need to compel the removal of any harmful mobile communication systems that do not have strict and suitable liability and accountability in place, and a commitment to never install such potentially harmful technology again. Now, I've said that because alongside all of the evidence that I'm acquiring, there is very clearly a link to the threat of directed energy systems incorporated or integrated within the mobile communication systems, and the ability to emit radiation that can harm many, many people or individuals. You've only got to look at the history of this technology, and as technology has been developed, they've publicised what is very likely fake viruses to cover up the deaths and the health issues caused by it. There's so much evidence to suggest that the cancer that we are now seeing, where I believe it's 1 in 2 people get cancer now, is as a result of this radiation. And the technology is so advanced now, and they appear to have the ability now to put so much power through this technology that can have very quick effects on people's health and almost death. So we need to ensure that that is disabled, that ability to harm individuals. Now, this is difficult. Personally, I'm a victim. I'm a Christian. Although I'm a victim, I know that because this is so vast, we may need to, I will be able to forego the next 2 measures, but most people won't. So I've put them. So there needs to be suitable compensation for the people who have been defrauded by this system, and in particular those who have struggled the most as a result of it. There needs to be a public trial, at least for those that have been instrumental in allowing this system of fraud and its sinister activities to have continued for so long. Now, I believe in forgiveness, providing there's a certain set of things that have happened for people involved in this. For example, full disclosure of the truth, complete and full repentance, genuine repentance, and a full commitment to change to prevent this from ever happening again. So far, it's very clear that none of that appears to be happening. So it's not good enough. So there needs to be a public trial. People will demand that from certainly the people that are instrumental in it. So they're the 9 points that I believe we need to compel. So how do we compel that? Well, I think things are now so urgently time critical that we need to have an international sustained strike to compel these things. But initially to compel, first of all, the truth. So the governments, who will be the puppets in all of this, okay, they'll be being controlled from people above. Of course they will. But they are what we are led to believe are the public bodies at the front line of this. So they need to publicise the truth. The truth that this has been an international government fraud to defraud the public through the taxation system is very clear that's the case, and that it facilitates child trafficking and the very severe activity towards children, and also drug trafficking and all of the problems that we're seeing around the world. They have to get back to truth, and that's going to be a hard truth, but it needs to be the full disclosure of the truth, not just to say about the child trafficking, all right? Because what it appears they're going to do is disclose the truth of the child trafficking, but bring in the digital currency system and maintain this system of fraud to exploit the public through the taxation system and defraud them. We can't allow that to continue. So there has to be full disclosure of the truth. So providing that happens, I believe we can withhold or step back from the international strike. So what I'm going to propose is that the government have until the 4th of November, November, which is a Monday, to provide the truth. One of the other things I'm going to suggest is that they allow me a spot on Prime Television to, if necessary, show the evidence and expose this. So through the BBC, ideally, or something like that. I need to be able to have an interview on the BBC to highlight this, okay, because it appears as though I'm one of the only people speaking the truth in this system of fraud. There's a lot of people supporting me in the background, but we need that. So I'm going to suggest that the government allow that opportunity for me, and they're just going to have faith that things are going to be okay after that. All right, and I believe they will be. I believe if the truth is disclosed in the right way, and certain measures are put in place, we will avoid chaos and catastrophe that may ensue in releasing the full truth of everything. So I need to have a place on primetime television to do that. But we need the truth to come out by the 4th of November. And we need these measures to be at least implemented, or a publication that they're going to implement these proposals initially, at least as a transition to whatever may be required in the long term to bring back truth, transparency and trust. So that's by the 4th of November. So I was looking at the 5th of November for an international strike, but somebody has done some work around the numerology, and the Freemasons are heavily involved in this. There'll be a lot of history above the people behind the Freemasons. This goes back to, there's a lot of history in this. But they love their numerology, and somebody who I trust has looked at the numerology around the dates to do this. And although the 5th of November is the Guy Fawkes night and the day of the US elections, it appears as though the 8th of November will be a better date in terms of numerology. And it actually helps me because it just gives me those few more days to do what I need to. And to hopefully have correspondence with our governments and politicians. And I'm open to discussions with anyone, and Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin. We know you're all involved in this. The evidence is there. Get in contact with me. Keir Starmer, Nigel Farage, contact me, please. I'm not a significant person. There's nothing special about me, but it's very clear I'm sitting on the key to most of the world's problems with this evidence. The evidence is absolutely probably the most important documentary stuff that's come out in a very long time, and I believe that's through my faith. So, international strike on the 8th of November 2024. That's what I propose. I'm going to be in touch with international contacts with the help of others over the next few days. So, international strike, 8th of November, sustained strike until we get the truth and a commitment to some sort of measures like this, so that we can be sure that it's not going to continue. So, and we can be trusting in that something is being done. At the moment, there is no trust. So, if we haven't heard, just to reiterate, haven't heard anything by the 4th of November, and of course, I'll keep everyone updated wherever I can. Then international strike on the 8th of November, which is a Friday, a sustained international strike to compel a change whilst we still can, everybody, all right? If we still can, we might not get to that point because there's a lot of suggestions of things happening before then. So that's my proposal. It's controversial, I know it, but we've got to look at how serious this is. Children are being victimized in the most horrific ways. We have to do something. And anyone that doesn't do anything, unfortunately, you're only committing yourself to potentially, I believe, eternal problems for yourself in relation to this. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening. My document, my strategic document, is available in the public document file. And of course, I'm open to any questions at any time. God bless you all. Bye-bye.